Look at this. I got headphones on. I got a mic going. Baby.
If
Huh?
only people could see you now.
Hey, no video. We've gone through this before.
All right,
No
all right,
video.
all right. Welcome to This Commerce Life. This is a podcast aimed at small, medium entrepreneurs focused on commerce. I'm Phil, your host, and Kenny, your co-host, will join us as well. And we're going to talk to you about the world of retail and commerce and how things are changing in the world.
Hey,
Good morning.
good morning, Phil. How's it going?
I'm well, and how are you, Sheena?
I'm good. Yeah,
Good.
we're good. It's been,
Good.
these back-to-back short weeks make for a very intense and compressed schedule, but
Yes.
it's been good busy.
Yeah. I hear you. I know we've got back-to-back weeks, and then next week is a short weekend, a little bit shorter if you're going to the show, right? Because it's
Yeah, absolutely.
it's all that travel and prep time and all that stuff, so it's going to be crazy, a little bit
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. We're in crunch time for sure.
Yeah. It's nice to meet you, Kenny. Welcome. Good morning.
Hey, Kenny.
Good morning. How are you? You got to give me a minute. I just woke up. You got to give me like 3 or 4 seconds just to kind of get.
Kenny's on the West Coast.
Get
so
focused
this is a very early morning start.
Yeah, 6 a.m. is a little on the early side for a podcast.
Listen, young man, you chose these times,
I'm here. I'm awake. You didn't have to call me. You didn't have to text me.
When we set up the calendar, because the you can book us thing is new for us, right? We've always kind of like hand
Phil's always managed it,
and we've always managed it. And so he said, "Yeah, this time is good." And I was like, "Are you sure? It's so like 6 a.m." And he was like, "Yeah, no problems." So maybe we'll have a conversation.
We had a wedding
about this
last
after,
night.
So.
Well, not a wedding. We had the bride's sort of reception last. It was an East Indian wedding, right, or a Southeast Asian wedding. So it was one of those ones like, it's the whole week. Like every night there's something going on. So tonight she's going to the henna party or something. And Saturday we have the actual ceremony in the afternoon. Like, so, like every day there's probably something going on. But got home not late, but a little late. And I ate, right? Because, it was East Indian food. So it's like, I'm not going to not eat like way more than I should.
Oh my God. You got to eat at those things. Like it's
I had no choice. Like it was like you're forced to eat because, someone was cooking that. I mean, I had to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No,
oh man.
It was good though. Anyway, we're awake. We're here.
We're here.
We're here. We are here.
We're so glad you could join us.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be able to have you. So for the audience, we have Sheena on from Made with Local. Sheena Russell, Made with Local, and I'm excited because we met you on LinkedIn. Jeff was kind enough to give us a slightly embarrassing, fantastic testimony. Unsolicited testimonial, so nice. That was super nice of Jeff. And I'm just excited because I literally your bars are regular in our household. We love them. We had to tuck away my son's home, and he's got a peanut allergy, so unfortunately I had to eat all the peanut bars. That is just terrible.
Bad, right?
I just had to eat them all, but. So we're excited to have you on the show. We're kind of an unscripted, unrehearsed thing. So what we'd love to do is now that I've done a paltry intro, we'd love to hear about you and kind of find out what your journey's like, and then you can tell us more about what's going on now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love the free flowing style. I'm a born and raised Maritimer. We love to talk. So that's
awesome.
That's my preferred way to connect with people. I'm like I said, born and raised Maritimer, grew up in PEI, in farm country, potatoes and cows and not much else going on. And then when I was in my early 20s, I moved to Halifax to get a degree in environmental science from Dalhousie University. And that's where I've settled here in Nova Scotia, actually on the Dartmouth side for any Maritimers listening, because I know Halifax and Dartmouth are not the same. Oh my goodness. Sorry about that. Holy smokes. We settled in Nova Scotia, and Made with Local was started in 2012 at a farmer's market table here in Dartmouth and in Halifax. And it's been a pretty slow journey in the early days of Made with Local, and that we were very much just like a little, side hustle, really a farmer's market side hustle. And but then after I had my first daughter, Ruthie, in 2014, I decided to kind of go for it, right? It was my, like, as I say, kind of a, shit or get off the pot moment, really. Right. You're either going to go for it or you're going to let it go. And the decision at that time was like, you know what, I want to go for this. So it's been steady growth since then. And then we've really ramped things up in the last couple of years, going on to be distributed all across the country in multiple different grocery channels, including their most recent one was a Costco launch in April of last year. So we've been kicking things up, and growth is going to be continuing and accelerating in the coming.
I didn't know you were in Costco.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what is it? Yeah. What is it that you make? What is it? What exactly? Just so people know.
Yeah. So kind of glossed over that. So our key,
not at all.
Like Phil mentioned, is our real food bars, and they are these really beautiful, soft baked, almost like a creamy textured bar made with gluten-free Canadian grown oats, natural nut butters, and sweetened only with local honey from small, ethically run apiaries here in Nova Scotia. And we have one in Ontario as well that we work with. So obviously, being made with local, our flavors and our offerings are really driven by seasonality, seasonal offerings in fruits and, different spices and things. And of course, local, what can we source domestically? And the things that we can't source directly domestically that are grown in Canada, we get from suppliers like La Siembra or Camino, which is the retail brand. For example, we get our fair trade organic chocolate, coconut, and cocoa from them. Work with small Canadian producers of ethically imported ingredients. So our supply chain is obsessively transparent, I would say, and that really shows through in the quality of our products and deliciousness, which is the most important thing when it comes to food, of course.
Wow. So what started the journey? Like what was the, you said 2012 you started, but you just got up on a morning board or thought, geez, you know what, I need a good bar. Nobody's doing one, so I'm going to make my own.
Yeah, absolutely. So the journey was, I was working in a very cushy government job right out of university, which I was extremely grateful for because 23-year-olds don't get those opportunities very often. But man, it was boring. I was like, in a cubicle all day doing the same thing. And it was in line with what I went to school for. So I was working as a waste resource educator in Halifax, the city of Halifax. Awesome team, super lovely people, but it was just like really boring a lot of the time. Having, a creative mind, especially creative in the kitchen. I grew up in a house where, there was a lot of baking, a lot of cooking, a lot of connection to local food, seasonal foods. My friend and I at the time, we had been gym buddies and realized, in the world of that quick, after gym snack, all the options in 2012 were honestly gross. Like the bars out there were nasty and made with ingredients that you literally look like the back of like a science experiment, right? So, clearly the landscape is different now. Bars are one of the most competitive categories in natural grocery. We're in it, but in 2012, there weren't great options. So it was seeing that opportunity from, a lifestyle experience and then saying we could do this better. And also we could do this in tandem with another trend that was really starting to surge in Canada at the time, which is the Eat Local movement, right? So we're selling at the farmer's market, we're buying ingredients from other vendors at the farmer's market, turning them into bars on the during the following week, and then bringing them back to the farmer's market and being able to say, this bar has honey from that vendor, and this bar has blueberries from this vendor, and people loved it, right? Because there was that like deep community connection. And also they tasted amazing and they were better than anything else that they were able to find at the grocery store at that time. So those were the early days. And I think the kind of pun, I guess, that works perfectly in our experience being at the farmer's market in those early 2 years was that it was the best market research you could ever have as an entrepreneur because you're 4 feet across the table from your customers always, and you're seeing how react when they taste it, and you're seeing how they react when you say what the price point is, and you're hearing them request new flavors or giving your feedback in real time. Like you're just soaking it all up for, the weekends for 2 years. And I think that was an invaluable part of the DNA of Made with Local going forward, is that we really had so much input from the community of customers already that we knew what people wanted, and from then, like where the growth was.
Well, you got the taste right. I love them.
I haven't had them, so now I got to go. Now I have to go buy these ones too.
Kenny, I'll bring you some.
Okay,
I'll bring you
sounds
some.
Good.
I'll see you next week.
You mentioned, Phil, that you have to hide them for an allergy consideration, which is something that we are working on. FYI, I'll plant that seed. But we also hear that from a lot of parents, is that like, my kids are obsessed with these bars, but they're my favorite too, and they'll eat them all if I don't like hide them. So we
That's
hear
not a problem.
that.
That's a good problem. That's a good.
We hear that all the time. Like, I'm going to buy these, but I'm going to buy 3 cases, but 2 of them are for me and one's for the kids.
Yeah. It's really, it's a unique thing. Like, so Kenny's got 2 older children. Mine are on the older side now as well. But like, we've never, if you really kind of like rewind and look, because mine are 20, 16, and 14. And so when they're growing up, you really, like, we didn't share bars, right? We didn't share snacks, right? Because they're always into, something kiddie, and it was either like too much sugar or just a little bit rough on my system, right? And then the things I bought, they were like, these are gross. Like, why are we? And so when we got to these ones, it really is, it's a little upsetting, right? Because you realize, like, I've got a stash of things, and then you go to the stash and they're all gone because the kids have taken them. They're in every bag we've got, like they're in the cars, because it really is, it's the one thing that we kind of all agree on, right? So it's kind of cool that way.
That's kind of cool. There's not many products that do that.
No, not many.
Do it well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So let me go back to your journey. So 2 years in, so you've done the show, you've done farmers markets for 2 years.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming now we're not really packaged per se. Like, how are they like served like, almost like a cookie or a cake kind of idea? Like, that format, and you decided then to hit retail? Like, what'd you do?
Yeah, so we had very primitive packaging. So we always sold them individually packaged, but it was literally like this little cellophane sleeve that, of course, we got off of Uline, which is where
that's where everybody goes.
Days. And like an Avery printed label that at some point I was printing at my at my office job. I was like, oh my God, I need 50 labels for blueberry bars for the weekend, and I'm like sneaking my labels in on their printer anyway. So you do what you got to do in those early days, and it was very primitive packaging, and then slowly the package evolved to what we became really well known for is like this really organic feeling, craft paper sort of texture and touch on the product. So that's been kind of the evolution of packaging over time. But we went, we're very fortunate to be in a place here in the Maritimes where there is a very supportive local grocery chain called Sobeys that walks the walk and talks the talk when it comes to supporting local. And we first piloted our bars into, several independents, the Pete's, if you know, if you're familiar with Halifax, but some of the higher end, there's not that many of them here in the Maritimes. There's not the density here that you'll find anywhere else in the country, but all the, little mom and pop health food shops, the Pete's, and then eventually into a pilot on 17 Sobeys in the Halifax area. And then pushed out, we proved the concept there. They were ripping. Everybody was really excited. And then we pushed out into Nova Scotia, and then all of the Maritimes, and then eventually got listings nationally in Ontario and out west as well. So we've been doing business with Sobeys since 2016. They were our first mass account.
Wow.
And they've been an amazing partner over the years.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. And then from there, of course, you start talking to Loblaws, and you then, push out into some of the smaller chains out west, which for us, are a big leap, even just geographically being based here on the East Coast. But yeah, again, it's been a fairly organic growth trajectory, right? We've taken everything in bite-sized chunks, and some of that, or all of it, I should say, is because of something I haven't mentioned yet, which is a very big part of our business, our production model. So we do all of our manufacturing in partnership with social enterprise bakeries that help to train and employ adults living with barriers to the mainstream workforce. So all of our bars are not made, in some big co-packing plant at, somewhere else. They are made here in our community at organizations that have a very specific mission to build skills and training for adults with a barrier of some sort, like a disability or otherwise.
Right.
So that model has been very gradually scaled over time, like baby steps, which has forced us to grow in a really mindful and kind of, gradual way over the last, I guess, I said we went into Sobeys in 2016. So we're almost, 6 years into our mass grocery expansion here in Canada. But yeah, so that's a bit of a backstory too on distribution growth.
And you're still doing that. You're still manufactured in that format.
We are,
that challenges it, right? It's hard to, I'm assuming, I don't know what it's like in the East. I can't think of anything in the West. I'm sure they're here, but I doubt that there's, this one's closing down. Well, that will be 40 opening tomorrow morning. I don't think it's like that. Like you've got, you're in a spot, right? That's.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
And it's been something, it's so all along I've been driven by impact in this business. Like that's really my North Star. How many more local suppliers can we work with? Like how many new flavors can we create showcasing the beautiful foods that we grow here in Canada? And how many new jobs and opportunities can we continue to bring into these social enterprise bakeries that are our production partners? And it's been a dance. Yeah, it's been a dance. It's been dampening at times to our potential growth. Like there were many growth opportunities that we had to turn down at the time because our capacity wasn't quite ready.
Right.
But we've gotten to be, we're a multi-7-figure business right now, and we are at the point where we're going to be expanding our production even further into an additional, we're going to have additional capacity coming on that is going to allow us to really scale in like above and beyond kind of the foundation that we've already built with these social.
Same format though, the same idea within manufacturing.
It's going to be it's under our own roof, so we will have more control over the output. But similar. We're going to be taking pieces of that model and instituting them under our own roof. So we're getting ready.
Wow, that's wow.
It's kind of amazing, right? Because I'm reading a little bit about this social enterprise expansion, but is it one bakery that kind of brings people in? But it looks like it's multiple bakeries.
Right? We have just one.
Yeah, we have two.
Wow.
We have two production sites. So we have the original one here in New Minas, Nova Scotia, and they are Indianapolis Valley, literally 5 kilometers down the road from our blueberry farmers, from our honey suppliers, truly incredibly local to where a lot of our ingredients are grown and produced. And then we have another social enterprise bakery in Ontario, in North York. So that wasn't the answer because we had this significant pull from the market that we knew that we just had to figure out a way to capitalize on. And we weren't quite ready internally to take manufacturing in-house. So we partnered with the second social enterprise bakery in North York, trained them in February of 2020. And then we all know what was about to happen. We trained them just right before COVID on how to manufacture our foods for us. And it was actually through that partnership that we were able to launch with Costco. Because they had the more stringent food quality. I shouldn't say food quality. More stringent.
We know what you're saying. Yeah. They got a lot of rules and regs.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have all of our bells and whistles in here in Nova Scotia as well, but we just didn't have the capacity or quite the same certification level that Costco was requiring yet to be able to work at Nova Scotia on that. So we did that work out of the Ontario Social Enterprise, and it was awesome.
So how do you manage that though? Because you're in Nova Scotia, you've got a small production facility there. Mm-hmm. Not small, but you know what I mean. A small one in Ontario. Now you're into COVID. I don't know what you guys are doing. East Coast. Well, you guys are worse than we were. We weren't flying much in the first couple months, so you guys couldn't have been. So how do you manage?
We were actually at certain points during COVID, we were told, mandated actually by the province to not even leave. You were not allowed to leave the province.
Right.
You could not cross.
Yeah, you guys were in the bubble.
Yeah, you guys were totally bubbled.
Yeah.
We were the maritime bubble that was completely locked down. At times it was even provincial bubbles where like I didn't get to go home to see my family in PEI for like 8 months or something. And that's like a 3-hour drive away, and I'm used to going home all the time. So it was really hard. Anyway, so we were in the bubble. And up until recently, things have been pretty chill here with COVID, but that's changed.
Yeah.
It's changing everywhere.
Yeah, but yeah, it was really hard. Honestly, it was a lot of phone calls, a lot of Zoom calls, a lot of like trading samples back and forth. Okay, that like they would do a production run and send quality samples down to us. And it's like, okay, that was good, but not perfect. And like you're couriering things back and forth. And like, it was a lot.
Well, I can imagine. That's why I'm asking. Like, because you guys, like West Coast, we closed literally for about 6 weeks, right? Yeah. And then we were not back to normal. Like we had the restrictions, but not like you guys in Ontario, and then definitively not like you guys in the Maritimes, because you guys were a whole separate bubble. Like you guys were a different country, the four provinces, than the rest of us, because you guys were even locked down from us.
No. Let's clarify it the other way. You in BC were a different country from the rest of us.
We've always been a different country than the rest of us. I'm just saying,
right? Like, so during COVID, I actually had to go and film because Kenny, like, because they everything was the same for them, right? They kept shopping, they were still eating out, right? And I said,
not for the first little bit. We were in the same thing,
no,
but we
for us,
definitely
it was
turned
like,
on way
it was
faster
like
than you guys.
12 months, 14 months.
No,
of
we
like,
that. No.
Yeah, because I had to show him. I sent footage of going through Costco, and then in Ontario, we had a moment where they were actually fencing off non-essentials, so that Ontario was trying to keep the retailers kind of all on the same, so they weren't being more competitive, right, from the local stores. So like the Walmarts, the Costcos, you couldn't sell anything else besides essentials because they had closed down everything else. And so when I shot that, Kenny was like, what the hell is going on over there? I said, I know, this is the difference, right? Like we can't eat in stores, we can't do anything, I can't buy a toilet if I wanted to, right?
I don't think Phil went to a restaurant until February,
right?
February or March 2021.
Oh, I celebrated. So I called him the other day because I actually finally went out to get a haircut, right? Because for a long time it was just like shaver, shave it bald or shave it close to bald, because it's way simpler than trying to figure out all the hair cutting crap. And
So like my point was, like, I would hear it was challenging, but not like you guys challenging. And if you're just starting up a new production, and because you seem to be the person who does want to have her fingers on the pulse of sort of what's going on. I mean, you're really restricted to virtual, which is great, but not great when you're a tasting product. It's totally different. And now you're shipping back and forth.
Yeah.
It's not, I don't see the easiness in it anyway. I mean,
nothing about it was easy. It was absolutely chaotic and really hard and expensive as anything, right? Tons of money. You're writing off product because it didn't hit like taste texture standards, because they were still learning. Ingredients would show up not the right spec, but we wouldn't be able to tell until it went into a bar and we're like, why is that almond butter that color or whatever? Like doing it, the intention was when we had this all ready to rock was that we were going to be spending a ton of time there. Like my husband, who also works in the business, and I and our 2 kids were going to go get an Airbnb in Toronto for 6 or 8 weeks and hunker down and like get them really rolling. And then when we felt like we could, pass it off, then we would do that. But obviously none of that happened. So it was slow. It was clunky. We were very grateful for their patience with us. And it's just been a huge learning curve on both sides. And, for all that I'm making it sound like it was really painful, like we needed them and they showed up for us, even when, they were obviously dealing with their own operational challenges because of COVID and staffing and stuff. So the partnerships that we have are incredible. And that's something that is a really, really resounding theme underneath, the Made with Local brand, is that we're built on community connections and really, and really strong, beautiful relationships with all of our partners, our suppliers, our production teams, our buyers, and of course the customers. So that's something that we really prioritize always.
So
sorry, go ahead,
Phil. No, go. I was just curious. Go, Phil, go. Too early for him, man.
I think the local partnerships, I have a different appreciation for. I think when you build new products, sometimes it's the instinct is to go out and try and find the best deal, right? Try and make sure that your margins are the best they can be. I'm curious as to how difficult or hard it is to find local relationships, and then how do you figure out what's the process for going through and figuring out, the best kind of fits for your business?
Yeah, great question. So a lot of our ingredient suppliers have been supplying us since 2012, right? Like I mentioned, our Nova Scotian honey suppliers, they've grown with us every step of the way, and that's been incredible. Our fruit suppliers, so blueberries, apples, cranberries, those have been coming from the same Nova Scotian farmers and producers since the early days. So we really met a lot of our original suppliers at that farmers market, right? Which is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
The one ingredient that we have had to continue finding or getting kind of closer to the source on ingredients production or ingredient sourcing has been oats, because the bigger we get, we kept outgrowing, intermediate distributors, and then we'd outgrow them. And, we're doing a Costco deal with a product that is about like 65, it's, a kilogram product. So every bag has 650 grams of oats in it. We're doing that in Costco East launch. So we really had to kind of just keep getting closer and closer to the source on our oat suppliers. And we've got some great big and very values aligned suppliers for even those bigger ingredients that we need to be pulling in from Canadian farmers. So it's been a lot of trial and error, but of course, it's the local thing is number one. And we define local, and this is fairly broadly in consideration of Canada, right? For us, at the scale that we're at and the distribution we have, we're looking for Canadian grown and produced ingredients. So Canadian first, absolutely every opportunity possible. They have to obviously be able to meet our needs from a demand perspective, like if we, to be able to hit the volumes that we need. And price comes into play too, right? There's tons of ingredients that I would love to be able to use in our real food bars and in our granola bar mix or other product. But the price is just not feasible for consumer product, right? So those are the three big things. Lead times, obviously, to kind of get into more of the nitty gritty, like having good lead times, fast lead times on orders, because in small business or, small, medium-sized business, like we are, like things happen fast and things spike quickly. At least that's been our experience. Sometimes huge opportunities kind of land on your feet and you gotta get after it. And the relationship, again, to come back to service, right? Do we feel connected to this supplier, or do their values align with ours? How are they to work with? Like, we have ingredient suppliers that most of our ingredient suppliers are very actively represented on our social media. We're telling their story, we're showing their face, and having them, really take up space in our social media platforms. So they have to be the right fit. That's a big part of it.
Interesting. So how have you been finding the supply chain issues that we're all going through now? Because at least you're, I guess, sort of insulated in that you're just down the street, literally on a number of them, but on a number of them, you're not. So that lead time, like cocoa, we just don't grow. You're not between the two tropics, so you can't do much on certain commodities. They come from where they come from, right? But maybe you had 30-day or 60-day leads, 2 years ago, and now you might be up to 120, 150-day leads. And then you got to work, then you're working a Costco launch into that, and we were both buyers. Patience it's there.
I think you're stressing,
but it's limited. Well, because I worry about things like that, because that's a fun part of business right now, because you really have to build all this in, right? And then it comes into your freshness, and then your timing of the ingredients that you want to use locally.
Yeah, you've hit every nail directly on the head, and it's something for us that we were, I'm sure, in much better shape than any of our competitors would have been, because our ingredients are grown and produced largely very domestically.
Yeah, very cool.
One of the things that we really struggled with, so for example, this was an ingredients hiccup, but it wasn't the ingredient that couldn't have been produced. The supplier couldn't get their hand on 10. That was for a nut butter supplier. They couldn't get 10-pound buckets or 10-gallon pails or whatever they come in.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
They couldn't get pails. So they had all this nut butter and they couldn't send it to us. And like, what do you do? Right? Like we weren't at the point where we could take like a lot of it. But we're in desperate need of thousands of kilograms of nut butter. And they were like, we have it already. We have no buckets. And it's like, oh my God, is this really happening? So our ingredient suppliers, some of them would have challenges around packaging seem to be, and even freight. It's something where, we would often hear that, a delivery was going to be a few more days late because the freight company was having issues with staffing. And so distribution seemed to be a bit like outward distribution of our product to stores seemed to be where we had some hiccups, but we just worked with our merchants to make sure that everybody, knew what was going on, and everybody thankfully was really supportive. And obviously it wasn't only us having those same hiccups. So we were lucky to, again, kind of root into those really strong relationships that we had built and just get through it the best we could. But yeah, we were for sure in a much better place, I think, than a lot of other brands out there.
That's maddening.
Largely our neighbors.
That's maddening, right? No? We made it. You can have it, but we don't know how to get it to you.
Oh, there was a glass shortage at one time. There was plastic shortage. Like packaging was a real challenge, right?
Yeah.
And again, I know that's why I asked, because I find it fascinating that you can still, because you're in growth mode right during, all of our first pandemic.
Yeah.
And none of us had done this before, right? Nobody knew what the hell we were doing. I mean, governments, people, like it's.
Yeah. Well, and here's a crazy thing that happened in March of 2020, things went sideways is a delicate way to put it, I would say, in the world. And Andrew and I, my husband, who again, he also works in the business, we've got 2 little kids at home. We've got a baby and a 5.5-year-old. And we get word on March 13th, when Nova Scotia really shut things down, that our our social enterprise bakery here in Nova Scotia was shut down because they don't fall underneath the essential food manufacturing kind of umbrella. They're a social enterprise and employs people who have major, risk factors in COVID. That's their whole mission. So they shut down, saying like, we don't know when we're going to be able to get back up and running. And at this point, the Toronto facility wasn't actually making bars yet. They were only doing that, getting ready to launch that mix product. So we were SOL in a big way. And of course, like the shopping mania that happened in those like early weeks, we were getting crazy POs from Loblaws and Sobeys and had literally zero production. So my husband, Andrew, who is a literal Olympic athlete. He went to the Olympics in 2008. He was driving down to our bakery in New Minas. We eventually convinced them to let us just like go in and do it ourselves. And he would just bake his brains out. He had never made the bars before, but I like gave him the SOPs and he knew how they're supposed to look and taste. And he just went out there by himself and he would bang out like 5,000 bars in a day by himself. And then he would come home and I would go in like maybe through the night or the next day and package them by myself, just so we could get like a layer of master cases out to Sobeys, like just
That's
something.
Insane.
Just to get something out there.
It was absolutely insane. And we did that for like a month. And then finally, just to keep pushing some dribble of product out to Loblaw Sobeys, because we needed to have, that like little connection to them at least. And they knew what we were doing. So like, you guys are nuts, but okay, like, thanks for the product.
Right.
But we just like, you can't just sit there. You can't just sit there and not do anything, right? Because your business is on the line and these relationships are on the line.
Right.
And, we've got, this business is like, nobody has more skin in the game than us. So we were going to make it happen no matter what. That was about a month. And then finally we were able to start incorporating some of the Flower Cart team, that social enterprise we work with in Nova Scotia, back in and get things ramped up again. But things were a little dodgy for a while.
No, it made it interesting, that's for sure.
Yes.
So how many of you are in the business? So obviously we've heard you and your husband. How big are you now? Like how many, what's going on?
We're a team of 6 internally right now.
Wow.
So still fairly lean, I would say. And that'll change, this coming year. We're actually about to kick off a funding round. I've got a pitch call right after I leave you guys.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, it's really exciting. I'll get my jitters out with you guys, and then I'll just go and crush that call after this.
You'll kill it.
We're raising capital, so that's all going towards building internal capacity, sales and marketing nationally, finally getting out of the bubble, and spending way more time in other key markets, and building those internal capacities, and then pouring some gas on the sales and marketing side as well, because the brand is just about ready for another big growth spurt.
So you got a bunch of things you need to look at. So you're looking at obviously some production that I'm assuming machinery, or there's going to be a physical plant of some kind that you're going to have to fund and fuel. You have your own sales team, or you're developing that?
We do have a bit of a mix. So we've got 2 internal sales, and then we work with a broker, and then have a distributor relationship as well. But looking to really grow the sales team internally and with some external sales.
Right, because that's a whole different set of management too. And are you using 2 different distributor in the East and West, or is it a national brokerage, national distribution?
We're within, yes, exactly. So we're with a national distributor. Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Well, I find it's you're not the first one, but one of the few that you guys, there's a few of you we've had on the show that have really, the growth hit at the best time and at the exact worst time it could happen.
Yeah.
Right. Where like there wasn't much more shit that could have been thrown on a plate than during COVID, right? Just everything seemed to be, and people like you seem to have made it. I find it really, it's pretty
inspiring.
cool.
Yeah, it
really is. I mean, if you can't have a tougher time, like we've been doing this for a long time. I've been in retail for 40, I don't even remember, 40 years, 42, 43 years. That's a long, we've never seen anything like this shit show. Like this was nuts. And the fact you guys were able to grow, and now, so once Sheena hangs up with us, I don't know if you're still on there, that she's doing a capital raise or a phone call to
I heard.
Grab some coin from people.
What the fundraise is this your first fundraise, or you've done one before?
We did a little family and friends round in 2020 that helped support, getting through some lumps and bumps, of course, and that was amazing. So we've got a really great group of those family and friends size investors. So this is our seed round. Yeah.
Wow. Exciting.
Yeah. It is so exciting. And one of another big, I think of them big pillars in the business. So we've got this production scaling that's happening as we speak, to allow us to tackle, international expansion. We've got the raise that we're, I would say, really starting to pick up steam on now, getting in lots of really good first and second calls. And then we're actually doing a brand refresh project right now as well. So when September hits, we're going to have $4 million in the door. We're going to be launching a new brand. We're going to have unlimited production capacity, and it's ready to just let her fucking.
And then you're going to go take a nap.
That's awesome. Language is all good.
Somewhere.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's really exciting.
So when you're talking international, I'm assuming you're heading to our neighbors to the south. Would be
that
the
would
first.
Be the game. Being in Nova Scotia, we are strategically positioned also to export really easily into Europe, which is something that some brands here have done really successfully, and that is something that we're exploring as well. But strategically for us, and this runs kind of in contrast to what you'll see other CPG brands do, but we think there's a lot of merit to it, is that we probably will be entering into the US market through the New England area versus kind of just Pacific Northwest, because there will be some connection to the geography, to the, the relationship between the Maritimes and New England.
That's a great idea. We have tons of bars out here, and we have the same connections that you guys have, right? We have, so you're battling that.
Seattle, California, Portland.
You're kind of battling that. That's established on the West Coast much longer than it's ever been on the East. So there's no reason that you couldn't do like the New Englands, the Virginias, New Hampshires. Like you could play in that area and probably do. Like they'll get it because it's all the same supply chain to some degree, right? I mean,
and there's some really wonderful retailers down there.
Oh my God!
Right? Like everyone thinks of the guys out west, but the ones in New England, like that area, there's just some really wonderful.
Oh, you can do some real good business out there. That's a nice. Good for you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like one of my favorites out on the East Coast is Stu Leonard's, right? Like it's just like you just fits so well in there.
And that's awesome.
That makes me smile.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we're excited to start traveling again, right? That's another big part of it is like
Yes.
We're down in the bubble with little kids too, which doesn't help your mobility. And setting like, your risk profile on doing lots of travel. But yeah, we're excited. And that's why CHFA is so exciting for us this year, because we're like finally like on the road again. The girls back from the Maritimes coming out.
Look out.
It's amazing.
Look out, Vancouver.
It's amazing. So do you have a booth at CHFA this year?
Yeah.
Okay.
This will be our, oh my goodness, third CHFA Vancouver, and we've done 2 or 3 in Toronto as well. So yeah, we're getting our stride.
That's awesome. And where are you in the CHFA show? Are you within the distributor, or are you on your own?
No, we went out on our own. I kind of like that better. I kind of like having your own space. I find sometimes with the distributor alleys, like people will sometimes, you guys are buyers, maybe to be like, I can find that in the catalog later. I don't have to walk down this because my rep is telling me about it. You know what I mean? Like there might be a bit more of an assumption that maybe.
I always did that. I always looked at everybody outside a distributor first.
Yeah.
Because distributor, all you have to do is phone the distributor. I mean, or you'd find it sooner or later. But I always used to try to find the ones that hadn't got roped into that side yet. So it's probably a good.
Yeah, I think we've done in the past maybe like one of the little kind of like what do they call them, like cutting board tables or something like that, like a mini table within the larger booth, but then have your own full 10 by 10 somewhere else. Right. So we're at booth 1130. If anybody wants to come visit.
Very cool.
We'll put those in the show notes. So if you guys are going to the show, make sure you stop by and see the team. That's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to meet you in less than 2 weeks, right?
Less than 2 weeks. Okay. Yeah.
I'll be there on Saturday. I will be there on Saturday only, actually, because we're doing a bit of a staggered trip, my husband and I, to make sure the kids aren't on for too long. So I'm in and out on Saturday night, and then Andrew will be there for the rest of the week.
You're going a long way for...
Well, and it's easy from Halifax. There's direct flights all the time to Vancouver.
Listen, I'm in Toronto. It's a 5-hour haul there and a 4.5 haul back, and it's fine. I do it just fine. But Halifax is like another
extra step.
Like it's like
the Maritimes is a whole different step.
Yeah. It's
makes for a long day.
Dedication. Yeah.
It's long, right? You got little kids too, and that's a lot to juggle. That's a lot for parents to do. Like you guys got a lot of shit on your plate with kids on top of it, right? I mean, because I'm sure that they're very patient and says, they look at each other. Okay, mom and dad are busy right now, so we'll play by ourselves. Yeah, right.
You know what my daughter, my 7-year-old, has learned to do? She knows now if she like asks me for anything while I'm on the phone, I'll be like, yes, Jesus, get out of here. Like, because I'm like, there was a long time where we were all, cooped up together, and I'd be on an important call of some sort, and she would know at exact that moment, like, mommy's compromised. She'll give me
whatever I want.
It's like they've got a little stress meter, right? So when it hits the red bars is when you ask, right? Because you're
they got the game figured out.
Oh my God. Anyway, no, they're amazing. We're so lucky. They're great kids and a lot of fun and full of energy. And yes, it's a lot, but I mean, I don't know. You only live once.
It's all part of it, right?
Yeah.
It's all part of it.
Yeah. It is. Yeah. I think we feed off the energy. My husband is an extremely high energy person, and I'm, don't do well with sitting still either. So we're pushing it.
Yeah, clearly. We can see it. We can see
clearly.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Thank you for coming on the show, and thank you for doing this before your seed round.
Yeah.
It hopefully we helped you
Hopefully we help you motivate you a little bit or get you excited.
Out,
I think it's awesome.
That's what I was saying to Kenny. Like, get my jitters out with you guys.
No, you'll kill it.
No, it's awesome. It's awesome. Yeah,
story is easy to. You should be able to get money easy because you're very obviously you're very personable. Your story's great. You guys got your shit together. I mean, you're doing all the right things. I mean, what the hell?
You guys want to just like stay on the line, and then I'll just
problem.
On this call, and you guys can just run it.
Here's what we should do is I've recorded this whole thing, right? It's going to be an episode. So what you should just do is put up a little thing. So when you get on your call, the sign will say, "Listen to this," and then just send in the money. All right. Otherwise,
Yeah, don't make this long. Just cut the check. Let's get going.
I'm now crowdfunding this. I'm putting this out. And if you guys don't get in early, then you don't get the Kickstarter benefit of being a recognized, seed.
Exactly. That's good.
A seed contributor. So yeah. That's amazing.
Good for you.
Yay. Congrats and good luck on your seed round. Whenever it's appropriate to let us know, we'd love to play that back for our audience too, is to tell them that you landed lots of oodles and oodles
billions of dollars.
I can get
more bars
and more goodness.
Very happy to share that news when it drops. For sure.
Yeah, let us know.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Good luck.
We'll see you at the show. Good luck.
Sounds great.
We'll see you next week.
Yeah.
See you soon.
Yeah.
All
right.
Thanks.
Take care. Thank you.
See you later, Sheena.
Bye.
Stay on, Phil.
Yeah.
Oh, very cool. Very
so cool.
Yeah. I mean, cool. Wow. That's a lot of energy.
Yeah.
That's a lot of shit going on.
Look, I more and more.
Yeah.
More and more, I feel like these guys, I don't know how they do it, but there's just so much energy. These guys are all, look what I got. So I had to walk away because the dog was trying to defend me against Canada Post. Because I got our Chiwis.
Chiwis.
Yeah. But yeah, no, she's awesome. She really is.
I mean, I think it's the stories are always, I just find it amazing that these people all, I mean, seriously, COVID couldn't have thrown more wrenches into business than, I mean, honestly, it's because it's still lingering, right? Because now supply chain is the biggest problem, but it's pretty amazing that these people all, go through it, figure out ways to do shit.
In some ways, it clearly makes us better, though. Like that's an
absolutely.
Unavoidable observation now, as you kind of look at it and you look at all these people and how well they've done. Nice. You kind of go,
yeah.
They all seem to figure out how to make it, right? Like, it's kind of amazing.
No, it's just super cool. I mean, I don't know how else to say it either. Like, it's just super cool.
Dude, these are amazing.
Yeah, those look really good.
Yeah,
those look really good.
Now I got to figure out which one's which. Orange.
We should try the orange first, probably, right?
Kiwi. I'm gonna try the original kiwi. I think that's the one I want to try first.
Go right to the orange after that, because I'm dying to see how an orange would be.
And then what else is there? What's this one? Tropical? Wow. Okay. I think. Okay. Let me just.
All good. All good.
But yeah. So I think it's just inspire, and I really love that she's, because I told now we're getting into brands that the kids love, right? And then the kids are like, wait, they were on your show, and I was like, yeah, they were on the show, right? And you're eating, it's really cool, right?
It is actually pretty cool, right? Because you start getting these connections with with these people. It's gonna be cool to CHFA because we've had so many of these people on now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, listen, I gotta get a coffee. I'm struggling here. Oh, they look good.
Yeah.
Actually, look like fruit. They actually do look like tasty.
Yeah, it's actually really good.
They sound crunchy. They sound like a chip. Seriously, you sound like you're eating chili. It sounds like chips.
Mm-hmm.
That's Phil's munching on the show.
Mm-hmm. That's Phil eating Chiwis that you would have heard last week.
Okay, just do the orange test, and then I'm going.
Yeah, I'll show you the orange, and then you can go.
I gotta get some caffeine going.
Yeah. Sorry.
All good. Just do your thing there.
Oh, I like it. It's an acquired taste for sure, because it's kind of weird not to eat a kiwi fresh. But
it's funny because and it's not the fruit that I go to. Excuse me. Oh Christ Almighty! That looks like an orange. Like really though, eh?
With a rind on it and everything.
Wow. See, and I was still trying to figure out if you're going to get the bitterness from what do you call the white shit there?
The rind.
No, the rind is the outside.
Oh.
Like when you shave it, they don't go through the whatever the next part is.
Buddy, this is right there.
Yeah.
I don't know how she's going to sell them because I don't know who would. But once you taste them, fuck, they're good.
Really?
Yeah, they're really good.
Well, they look good. They look like an orange. Like, I mean, obviously that's what they are, but wow. Okay, cool. Okay. I mean, I love you, man, but I'm going.
Yeah. Bye.
Wrap this up, and we will. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening.
And you and I will chat later.